Oh my gosh. We're almost there. We're almost there. Almost to what could possibly be the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel of all time. But we still have a little bit of Pharoahs memories left. So, let's get into it, shall we? The duel between Yugioh and Bakura that's featured here is a very crucial and important one for a myriad of reasons. For one thing, it shows Yugioh dueling by himself, something that we never see outside of the ceremonial battle and filler material, as well as within the Dark Side of Dimensions movie. Secondly, it shows Yugioh dueling with his own deck, rather than the one that he and the Pharaoh had constructed together, making it even more special. But possibly most importantly, it gives Yugioh the chance to prove himself. Allow me to explain. The Pharaoh has been doing most of the heavy lifting throughout Duel Monsters pretty much since Duelist Kingdom. In fact, ever since Duelist Kingdom, he's been the one facing every opponent, while Yugioh took a backseat to the action. That works fine in those circumstances, but the problem is that thanks to the Pharaoh's constant use of Yugioh's place, it made him out to be a kind of crutch to fall back on. I'm pretty certain that many people even wondered whether or not Yugioh himself could hold his own in a duel. Well, we're given that answer here, and it is extremely satisfying to watch. This is also the last time that we'll see Yami Bakura's Battle City character design, and I have to say, I miss it already. It's kind of an iconic look for him, similar to how the Pharaoh treats capes in the modern day. First of all, the stakes here are incredibly high. After all, if Yugioh loses, not only will they all be sent to the Shadow Realm, but the Pharaoh will never learn his true name, and Zork will win. However, if Yugioh can win this, he can prevent all that from happening. A duel disc suddenly appears on Yugioh's arm, solving the conundrum of not being able to duel here. Bakura also reveals that he took control of Tristan's mind, and that he can only be found if Yugioh wins, which further adds to the stakes. Elsewhere, the ground begins to shake as Zork makes his ground arrival. And I have to say, they make a freaking spectacle out of his entrance.
The Lord of Darkness is here! The almighty Zork!
The very being responsible for creating the Shadow Realm has crossed over into our world.
How do we stop him?
According to the prophecy, there is only one person who can defeat Zork, the chosen Pharaoh!
Also, something worth mentioning for the purists is that in the sub, Zork's tail was supposed to wrap around him, and yeah. They censor it in the dub, however, so that it's protruding from his stomach, which is kind of an odd edit to make. I mean, I can see why they did it for the network, but I don't know why they did it. But yeah, this is Zork Necrophades, the creator of the Shadow Realm itself. First off, some specifics that I found. Let's break down his last name, because I think it's extremely fascinating. The necro in his name, the necro pronoun, is Greek for death, with Hades obviously being the Greek form of hell or the underworld. Now, they actually censored Zork's name in the dub to make it Zork the Dark One. But to be honest, I prefer his Japanese name, since it has more of a punch to it, and it's actually symbolic of something, whereas the dub wants to mask it and thus hide its symbolism. Zork attacks, and Hassad attempts to defend them, but it's too much even for him. They all retreat, while Zork swats Hassan to the ground. Back at the duel, Bakura says something very funny, and I'm not really sure why it's funny. I guess it's just one of those it's so dark that it's humorous moments.
You're unaware. The Dark One has already begun its rampage. But no need to worry about that. As long as you remain down here, Zork is unable to harm you. Of course, that doesn't mean you're safe from my rampage.
Yugi!
But Yugi tricks Bakura into attacking his marshmallow, with Bakura once again making something humorous out of the situation.
Is that a monster or a dessert topping?
Oh great, now I'm just hungry for an ice cream sundae. Thanks Bakura, you're a real pal! Back at the palace, there are armaments being built, like catapults, stuff like that, to defend the city when Zork eventually arrives. In fact, when Zork does arrive, Priest Seto takes command of the Pharoahs' army against him. Back at the duel, Bakura gets at Yugi's life points due to a clever spell card that he plays, but he adds insult to injury, stating that without the Pharaoh controlling his every move, Yugi himself doesn't stand a chance. The Egyptian army does what it can against Zork, but it's no use, because none of their attacks actually penetrate him. But Zork just attacks them and seems to wipe them all out. Up above, the Pharaoh and Bakura suddenly start to shake, with Bakura explaining the phenomena.
The events of the past are beginning to affect the present. What? Think about it. If the world was destroyed 5,000 years ago, then the world of today would cease to exist, right?
You can't do this!
I already have. And as soon as Zork covers ancient Egypt in darkness, I will have completed what I began centuries ago!
Back at the duel, I finally found the clip that I've been searching for so long.
I hear the Shadow Realm's lovely this time of year. Let's find out if it's true!
Bakura just relishes in the Shadow Realm, doesn't he? It kinda makes me uncomfortable. The turn ends with Marshmallow actually getting a hit in, and I have to say, it's quite terrifying.
Marshmallow attack! Easy, boy!
Back at the battle, lightning strikes down, only for Shada to take the hit for the Pharaoh, and he passes on. Up above, Bakura makes some interesting observations.
Means that Zork's resurrection has brought out the worst of both worlds.
Enough!
As the world of the ancient past sinks deeper into the darkness, so does its present-day counterpart. And before long, neither one will exist. Part is, it's all your fault. Had you not traveled back in time to learn about your past, I wouldn't have been able to join you. And to make matters worse, you're the only one who can stop me. But you never will. You can't seem to remember the magic word. The key to defeating Zork. Your own name.
But the Pharaoh counters with an observation of his own.
But there is someone out there with the courage and determination to find it for me. Yugi. There's a reason he and I were brought together. So we can rescue mankind from the evil forces that scoundrels like you seek to unleash. Only Yugi you need to worry about. I have all of my friends by my side.
So Zork begins laying waste to the Egyptian city. Ashizu and Mana go to find the scattered Millennium items, with which they can hopefully save Egypt. Back at the duel, Bakura once again adds insult to injury.
Who knew you'd get this far without the Pharaoh holding your hand?
When the fate of the world's at stake, you'd be surprised how well I can duel!
Taya comments that Bakura doesn't seem human, and I have to say, she's got a point. I mean, Bakura forced the Pharaoh to go on a trip down memory lane, made Zork come back, and now is preventing Yugi and the others from rescuing the Pharaoh, saving Egypt, and by extension the world. Yeah, he's not all there if you catch my meaning. Also, all 7 Millennium items just happened to land in the exact same spot, right after Ishizu said that they'd have to scour the entire desert. So, way to waste a good scavenger hunt premise. Back at the duel, Yugi frees his Silent Swordsman and fires back, destroying Bakura's disgraceful mage. Next, Bakura plays a card which makes 2 creepy dolls appear with gift boxes, or should I say loot boxes. One with a curse, and the other being a blessing. Yugi picks the blessing box, while Bakura picks the cursed one, which he was actually counting on as it eliminates his graveyard in its entirety. Manu returns with all 7 Millennium items, while Ishizu is killed off by Zork. Shimon gets his hands on the Millennium Key and summons Exodia, which should mean that Zork automatically loses the game and is automatically killed, and that they all live happily ever after. Oh, sorry. I got the official card game rules mixed up with the script. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Zork is getting his butt whooped by Exodia in no uncertain terms. This was how it needed to happen. This is a curb stomping if there ever was one. Yeah, you don't mess with the Forbidden One, son! But the only caveat is Shimon himself. See, Exodia draws its power from the human controlling it. But, since Shimon is very weak, understandably so due to his past battles, Exodia can't knock Zork down for the count. And so Exodia is defeated, and by extension, Shimon passes on. Also, Dan Green gives possibly his best line delivery as the Pharaoh in this entire arc here.
Zork! I face you not alone, but with the spirits of those who gave up so much to restore peace. In the name of the people of Egypt, I shall prevail!
Back at the duel, Yugi destroys both of Bakura's soldiers, but can't destroy the third one due to a trap card played by Bakura. Also, Bakura goes off the deep end when he reveals his true strategy.
As long as this card remains on the field, each of us must transfer a certain number of cards from our deck to our graveyard at the end of our turn. How many, you ask? You must discard as many cards as there are monsters on the field. Of course, that includes my phantom monsters.
Then we'd be throwing out practically our entire deck! But why would you play a card that puts you at risk also? It doesn't make any sense!
To work, it requires a graveyard. And I don't have one. Guess that means I can't participate. I feel so left out. So you're in this alone. Get it? This card only drains your deck.
The Pharaoh summons the Egyptian gods to combat Zork. Up on top, Bakura drops a staggering bombshell, which actually makes Zork's inclusion within the storyline make perfect sense.
Your creatures are no match for Zork. I should know since he and I are one and the same.
Hold on. You mean you are Zork?
Surprise? How's that for a twist?
That is a very well executed and planned payoff. I'm not even kidding, think about this. Bakura, in the other storylines, was always a mysterious character. He worked from the shadows, and in Battle City, he was only looking to gain the Pharaoh's power for himself. But, at the beginning of this arc, he followed the Pharaoh into the ancient past, and attempted to destroy his past life. He name-drops Zork, and some intrigue is brought up. Zork arrives, and the twist happens. Yami Bakura has just been Zork's physical vessel this entire series. And when you rewatch the other seasons with this knowledge in mind, it changes everything that he does. He was working towards this moment all along, from that brief duel in Duelist Kingdom to here. Every part of this plan of his has been carefully crafted and executed, all to lead up to this moment, when Bakura has absolute power within his grasp. Bakura and the Pharaoh then embody Zork and the Pharaoh respectively. Cousin Seto arrives and makes another connection, which again is extremely satisfying.
Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra! But they seem way too realistic to be holograms. Can they be the real deal?
We'll get back to this in the ceremonial battle itself. Obelisk attacks first, followed by Slifer, and then Ra, with Zork seemingly being knocked down for the count, symbolized by the clouds parting and the shining of the sun. But Zork emerges and creates a solar eclipse, or covers it in darkness if you want a more literal translation. And since the sun isn't providing light, Ra's powers are weakened, while Zork's increase, allowing him to destroy the 3 Egyptian gods. Back at the duel, Yugi discards pretty much his entire deck to the graveyard thanks to Bakura's card effect, and Bakura once again adds insult to injury.
I knew it all along. Without the Pharaoh, You're nothing. He's the king of games. You're just a frightened child. I'm the only one being honest with you. Think about every important duel you've ever fought. Who was doing all the work? The Pharaoh, that's who.
Maybe he's right.
Poor Yugi. I feel so sorry for him. But Yugi, man, he just turns the tables on Bakura. Yes!
That's the spirit!
Now win!
What do you expect to do with one card?
I sacrificed my marshmallow and my silent magician so I can summon this! Gandora, the Dragon of Destruction!
Not that!
Gandora, activate your special ability! Boundless Giga Rays!
The Pharaoh starts regaining his memory, symbolized by the inside of the Millennium Puzzle beginning to collapse. The Pharaoh's forces, however, flee. Priest Seto stands against Zork, summoning the Blue Eyes White Dragon thanks to Kasara, who I'm guessing passed it down to him once she died. But the dragon is brought down by Zork, and Priest Seto is sent to the Shadow Realm. Present Seto saves some kids from Zork and summons the Blue Eyes White Dragon, followed by the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which blasts Zork back. Yugi finally wins against Bakura, and he frees Tristan. They get out of the tomb, and they fly to the Pharaoh's location. What? Okay, let's back up here. It made sense when it was Bobasa doing it, since, you know, that was his true form, but now it's just weird. But the Pharaoh refuses to back down, even in the face of Zork. Yugi and the others arrive, and they summon some of their most iconic monsters, such as the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Using these monsters, they blast the evil forces away, only for them to respawn. The Dark Magician girl arrives, thanks to Mana, and Yugi and the others go to the Pharaoh's aid. The Pharaoh then asks them what his name is, but Yugi and the others reveal that they couldn't read it. The others concentrate on the symbols they saw, however, causing them to appear on the Pharaoh's cartouche, and it's revealed that his name is Atem. This is a moment that I have been waiting for 2 years, ever since I first started the series back in 2016. Truth is, I didn't really know what to call Atem until this moment, and so I decided to keep it as such in my scripts until it was properly revealed within the anime itself. Atem revives the Egyptian gods and he merges them together, forming the Creator of Light. The Creator of Light, in turn, completely destroys Zork in his entirety. Once Zork is dead, Present Seto arrives to greet them, and he states that there may be some truth to this after all. The citizens of Egypt begin to rebuild the city. Atem gives Priest Seto the kingship, and he states that he'll be leaving. The other reason why is because Atem also states that he has no memories of his life beyond this point, since in the original timeline, he wiped it after this. Atem gives Priest Seto the Millennium Puzzle, and they leave, to go back to the future. Oh, Flying DeLorean, where art thou?